Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor.
Yo, what's going on? It's Leon Slater, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the Wrestling Rewind. Yeah, man. Hello folks, welcome to the Wrestling Rewind here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. We're getting up to Christmas. It's almost the new year. This year has gone by insanely fast. I'm actually kind of shocked. I didn't really think that we were going to have the year that we did, but you know, when we look back, I think there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and even some creamy middles. So that'll be coming up, Martin. I think when we actually do that show, it's going to be a lot to talk about. Even for us as a show, like we did a lot this year. It's crazy, but of course, you know him, you love him, Mr. 1-0, Martin Hardy. How are things, Martin?
It's the most wonderful time of the year. What am I talking about? Am I talking about Christmas? No, I'm talking about the C2. The C2 is back, and I could not be happier. It is legitimately, I think I've made the decision, it is my favourite thing in wrestling. Absolutely.
So for anyone that doesn't know what that is, please explain what it is.
So the Continental Classic it's basically AEW's kind of Americanized version of the G1. So they looked at the G1, they said, we want to do something like this, but we don't trust a Yankee audience to follow the round robin points and rules and all that. So they kind of simplified it down, reduced the amount of participants, reduced the amount of matches, but kept the core kind of a round robin, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, no points for a loss. And then at the end, the top two guys battle it out. And it's like, I love all the gimmicks. I love the plunder matches and like we're going to talk about the two different WarGames matches we had and all that, but there's just something about these 20 minutes, no interference, no shenanigans. All the rules are like strictly enforced. So go out there and put on the best straight pure wrestling match you can do, and it's so refreshing. It's in its third year now, so it actually has picked up a kind of a bit of the legitimacy it was sort of pretending to have for the first year or so. But now it's got like that real level of legitimacy. So when the guys go out there, they really do try to put on the best thing you've seen. A couple of matches this year already. Fletcher versus Speedball, like people are already talking about that as match of the year, and it's phenomenal. I'm very happy.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So there is a lot to talk about with the goings-ons, and you know, we've always taken a bit of a break because I was on tour and we were in Europe and we are doing all this crazy thing. So we have missed a fair bit. And I think the right place to start is with it's John Cena. Look, it's John Cena's week, it's John Cena's tour. But before we get into his final match, have you heard some of the rumors that have been going around, some of the clarification that we got around the heel turn?
Was this around how it came about? And I mean, he seemed, from the clips I heard, he seemed not particularly bothered. They were like, hey, we have an idea to do this. And he just kind of went, yeah, sure.
Yeah, his exact quote is, quote, who cares? It doesn't matter. And, you know, that in hindsight, when you have that moment, which is probably one of the biggest moments in wrestling, followed by in wrestling history rather, followed by like the biggest fumble in recent wrestling history. And the whole Travis Scott thing, it turns out the reason why he was quietly removed was because he just no-showed an event. Logan Paul, your best mate, actually gave some like clarification. He goes, yeah, he just didn't show up. So apparently they were supposed to work like a longer angle with
wasn't enough that he broke Cody's nose or what? He legitimately punched Cody during that angle they had, and he was in.
Gonna hit him again.
But I mean, that wasn't enough.
But that wasn't. All joking aside, that wasn't enough. No, it was no. So it wasn't that he was unsafe. It was that he literally just no-showed. Because here's the weird thing, right? I remember looking at the WWE store at the time, and he had the Cactus Jack thing, right? And I was like, oh, weird. Mick Foley's bringing back the No, it turns out that Travis Scott's nickname is Cactus Jack for some reason, and he had his own line of merchandise where he would like. There would be like a John Cena shirt where he would like change a little bit, or it'd be more something like that.
It'll be here.
No, he wouldn't be on it. This is what I'm saying to you. It would just be like, it would just have Cactus Jack on it, right? And it's weird because they'd be like also $180. So if you're yeah, so I was just like, what is this? And then it turns out, oh no, that's what he calls himself. But all that stuff was silently removed. Also, he's not in 2K 2025. He was also slightly removed. And it's because he just no-showed an event and he had to kind of book on the fly. So it seems like a lot of this heel turn John Cena stuff, there wasn't the plan.
You went on the website and saw $180 and you were like, what is this? A nosebleed ticket for a Dublin house show?
Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Don't worry, we'll get to that. But yeah, and we don't even have a Dublin house show. It's Belfast now that I want to talk about, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, so that's what happened there. And it's crazy, but it seems to be that WWE since WrestleMania 40, just saying, putting the belt on Cody was a terrible idea. And that's when all the wheels fell off. Like I said it would happen, but nobody listened. It seems that's what's been going on. WWE is lost. Like,
I would be really interested to know what he was getting paid. Travis Scott was getting paid as part of that deal. Like what will they pay you if you're a celebrity to show up and walk out?
So what's interesting is Logan Paul was actually very salty about this because he said that like compared to guys like Jelly Roll and Bad Bunny who actually go in and learn to work to an extent, like Bad Bunny's actually quite good, to be fair.
Yeah, well, not maybe. He put in the effort.
Yeah, and that's what Logan Paul was saying. He goes, look, and even he's saying it, which is, also kind of wild, but he is actually fairly decent. And that's basically what they're saying. They said, look, these guys come in, it's not really that big of a problem if they come in, but they put the effort in, they actually learn how to work, they learn how to be safe. And apparently Travis Scott just didn't. It's just like, no. And then start no-showing. So, look, anyone could have said that, but it seems like from a WWE perspective or from a corporate perspective, they're like, we have this name, it will create a moment, which it did. He's a name. I've never listened to his music. I don't care to. Still don't know any of his songs, but I'm not the audience, right?
I was going to ask you, is it an Irish thing or a getting old thing that I have no idea who he is?
I think it's a mix. Like, obviously, we obviously get a lot of American culture here in Ireland as well, but like I think it's just a mix. Like I think he's specifically an American rapper, and I don't think that translates. And if it does, we're way too old for that. So, it's just it just is what it is.
I'm not keeping up with who the hot young rappers are.
But Jelly Roll is interesting because I didn't know who he was either. But when I went over to SummerSlam, Dave and his family were big into Jelly Roll. So, Dave's the same age as us. I could just be an American thing again. Like not everything that happens at WWE or America is going to travel over, and likewise, it just kind of is what it is. But I thought that was interesting because we were wondering, like we as the IWC were wondering, this doesn't seem like it has a plan. It seems very put together, and it was. It's just they were just kind of rolling on and seeing what was happening, and it won't diminish the heel turn because it is still a big shocking moment. But it's just like, oh, you really could have put more effort into this.
I don't know how you're retiring John Cena and you don't have like how is that not mapped out from start to finish?
Well, it was. But what happened was, again, like the way WrestleMania 40 was mapped out, Cody Rhodes got in the way. And no, seriously, he got in the way. That man needs to be fired because he's ruined two of the biggest events in WWE history. And another thing I need to say, have you seen last night, there was the Video Game Awards and they did the proper trailer and reveal of the Street Fighter movie. Have you seen this?
Oh, no.
Right. I'm going to let you Google Street Fighter, the new movie, or even Cody Rhodes in Street Fighter.
No, Cody's not in the...
Google it. Google it right now. Google it right now. For people listening, I'm sorry this is bad radio, but I need...
Oh, no, they've made him Vega.
Guile. They already made him Guile.
Oh, God. Look,
Did you see it?
they're playing with the... Oh, that is...
It's terrible, isn't it?
That is a fringe.
It is. It's real bad. So,
It does, to be honest, just look like
bad cosplay.
a kind of a half-decent cosplay.
Yeah. Look, I go to cons a lot. I've seen better cosplay, for real. Yeah, it's real bad. And
I just can't imagine Cody playing this.
well, he can't act. So, he also can't fight. So I don't really know why he's there.
Roman, how is he going to make Street Fighter about his dad?
Akuma's being played by Roman Reigns. That also looks pretty bad. Not as bad as Cody Rhodes, but still, it's up there. And that movie.
Not to be gooning on your on radio, but my childhood crush was Chun-Li, so I got to see who's playing her.
That's fair. They did the whole reveal of the cast, and it just looks like a Comic-Con level, and I mean that with all sincerity. There's some great Comic-Con movies, but it's a Comic-Con level student movie that got way too out of hand. And I love the original one from the 90s, but that was bad. But at least you had Jean-Claude Van Damme, who could actually fight. And I'm like, okay, so what's Cody going to do? It's real bad. And some people are like, oh, there, you hate Cody. Yes, I do. But I think in this case, I'm justified. Martin, am I justified or am I...
Look, I can only go by the picture I've seen and by my... Like, I just can't imagine it. Cody is so Cody. I can't imagine him playing anyone else, being anything other than...
Now look, when he was Stardust, it was incredible. You should just go back to that.
He was still Cody at the back of it though, like...
Yeah, that's true. Like, but with Guile, I just don't see him as Guile, right? Vega actually would have been a pretty good shout because you just could have put him in a mask. But yeah, that movie is probably going to be real bad. So
it's not been made like... So that wasn't just a promotional thing.
No, it's a real movie.
Is it being made like in conjunction with WWE or?
No, it just happens to have a lot of WWE stars in it for some reason.
Jesus. Oh, yeah, all right. Well, it's definitely an odd one. I'm almost, it's one of those things that I'm almost kind of just to see what it's like. I'm kind of intrigued to actually go see it now.
No, I
kind of like that car crash marketing.
I just can't. It's so bad. But the Mortal Kombat movie actually looks pretty good. The more recent one that came out wasn't. It was okay, but didn't have a tournament. This one now looks like it has a tournament, so it'll be more Mortal Kombat-y. So whatever. But wrestling is weird. Weird things happen in wrestling, and definitely Cody Rhodes being Guile is up there. There's also like a cool thing there during the week that like The Rock thanked Brendan Fraser for like taking a chance on him in The Mummy 2. That was kind of cool, but definitely John Cena has really kind of set the pace and I think has given the legitimacy, to use the word, for the Continental Classic to like wrestlers becoming actors. But definitely,
yeah, he's actually I hated Cena as a wrestler.
Yeah, me too. Like him as an actor.
I'm quite fond of him as an actor. He's brilliant in Peacemaker, like Peacemaker's outstanding. And there's a new show I'm watching, I don't know if you've seen it, brilliant show called Pluribus.
I haven't, no, I will watch it though.
it's phenomenal. Now he only shows up in it, he's just has a wee guest spot in it, but he's so like natural and like he's really good in it. So I like him a lot as an actor.
But even watching Cena like in blockers and his more comedic roles, he's actually really funny. As a wrestler, I never really rated him because it was Cena. You know, it was just the way he was booked. It was, you know, the modern day Hulk Hogan, and it just wasn't my thing. Like long-time listeners of the Rewind will know, or not the Rewind, of the International Desk will know how much I dislike John Cena during his actual run. But as an actor, always there.
Oh, he's great.
But here's my fear. Here's my fear, though. Here's my fear. This Cody Rhodes Guile thing will set that back like 20 years. We'll be going back to...
Cody's going to insist on being cool. But the thing about Cena is whenever he did these movies, he's never kind of afraid to show ass and make a kind of a joke out of himself.
But Cody is the least uncool person.
Yeah, but that's what makes it worse, because he's going to insist on being portrayed as being really cool. Like he's going to be a cool character who, you know, he's not going to be, you know, like willing to make a bit of a fool out of himself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I don't know where he gets off. I really do think I blame AEW for this, because if they had just been like, "You're not a star, stop," they probably would have stopped. So this
if he had just bloody went heel. That's all anyone in AEW wanted.
No, all you had to do was just say, "No, Cody, you're not a star, stop. Your dad was, you're not." And unfortunately, no, they fueled it and he created a monster, and now he's in WWE, and it's a nightmare.
They gave him his reality TV show, and that was the beginning of the end.
The beginning, yeah, that was it. Here, what do you think about Braun Breaker? His like ascendancy looks to be almost a lock now.
I was thinking he might have been kind of the guy they chose as Cena's last match, but it looks like it's going to be Gunther.
Yeah, I don't think they want to. I think they want to kind of rehab Gunther, because he hasn't had a real win in a while, and like obviously Cena's probably not winning his retirement match.
What do you think? Would they do like a Sting? You know, Sting won his last match. Like,
yeah, but I didn't particularly like that. I do like when they go out losing. You know, I know Taker did it, but you know, Sting and Taker are probably the exceptions. It's when you have that rub, you know, like it is worth giving to someone. Like when Kurt Angle lost to Baron Corbin, that was weird. That was a weird call. But
really weird. Then they did nothing with it.
They did nothing with it. It's like they fired him. It's like, okay, what was the point? But usually, like when someone does get that rub from a retiring legend, like everyone remembers Brock beating Taker and ending the streak, which is kind of was a retirement for a while. That was huge, and Brock never needs to be champion again. But if
like,
Gunther,
if Cena's last match had been Breaker, I would assume Breaker was going to kill him.
yeah,
But,
absolutely. But like Breaker, I think they want in the cooker for Punk at WrestleMania
Right.
42, where he'll probably win. Right, that looks like what they're going to do. That could be the way it goes. We'll see. Because Braun Breaker is definitely the breakout star there. Him and Dom, you know. But Dom already had his rub from Cena, which again was surprising that they didn't just do that at the show. But it could really go either way. But the thing about it is, if Gunther doesn't beat Cena, it's real bad for Gunther, because it's like you haven't actually had a win in a while. You haven't looked. Sami Zayn keeps beating you for some reason.
lost the title to Jey Uso.
Lost out to Jey Uso.
My God.
So he really has to win here, you know. And look, Cena doesn't need the win, so I do think it will be a rub. The match itself, though, will be pretty good. And look, so we'll transition into that, right? So Saturday night's main event is coming up tomorrow. We're recording this on a Friday night. Obviously it's going out on Tuesday, so you guys will know what has happened. And the card is Cena and Gunther, Bayley and Saruka. Then you have the World Tag Team Championships on the line with AJ Styles and Dragon Lee versus Javon Evans and Leon Slater from TNA, that's actually really cool, the TNA team. And they have champion for champion, Cody Rhodes against the NXT champion Obaya Femini, who just won literally last week. So it's a pretty cool card, a nice tight 4 matches, but these Saturday main events are very hit and miss. So really, I don't expect this to be anything more than just Cena going to...
It's the Cena show. Like it has Cena, and that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's what's going on, you know.
But it's unusual. I'm still kind of in two minds about it being a Saturday night main event rather than a pay-per-view. I suppose the fact that it's free TV means maybe you get more eyes on it than if it was a pay-per-view. You know, I know the Saturday night main events haven't lived up to the kind of promises they made with who is it? Is it Fox does them or
ESPN?
ESPN, yeah, they haven't lived up to the kind of promises they made them about how many people it would attract. So maybe this will serve a dual purpose of big number for Cena, but also we can say to ESPN, hey, look at this.
Yeah, we did all this, you know, but it'll be interesting to see. I'm cautiously optimistic. It's going to be 1 a.m. Streaming on YouTube if you're in the UK and Ireland. So that's pretty cool. I mean, like, you know, everything is on Netflix that we have anyway. So, but at the same time, I think you're right. It is kind of like, well, look, you can't watch the TV sometimes if you're in different markets. It's usually on Netflix. Everything is here. It's just on YouTube. Go that way. Because this kind of dovetails what WWE have been doing recently where, you know, obviously we're an archive show. We look back in history. They've said now that they're going to drop more content on YouTube as their vault, as the Peacock deal ends in the US. So that'd be cool for us. I mean, like, it looks like all the content will just be dripping down to their YouTube channel. So maybe, as you said,
well, that's only the WCW channel they have on YouTube is great.
It's brilliant, yeah. But as I said to you, I don't think it's just a dual purpose. It's probably multifaceted where they're like, right, we'll get some subscribers this way. We'll start dropping this content down. And, you know, look, I don't know what TKO are doing, but, well, I have an idea what TKO are doing, but at the same time, it's, for this specifically, Arabia. They're absolutely getting ready to sell. Mark my words, it's coming. But yeah, with this, it's, you know, it'll be definitely a historic moment. It's a weird one. I wish it was on a pay-per-view as well. But you know what? That Boston show that Raw, that should have been Cena's last show. They should have made that, and they kind of did. But like everything about it was John Cena. So this one, we'll see what they have. It's a weird one. I'm not a big fan of these Saturday night main events because they always feel kind of lame. Like they always have. I'm not just blaming TKO now. I mean, going all the way back to the 90s, they never really did anything for me, you know, but I could be in the minority. For me, the pay-per-view on Saturday night is quite handy because, you know, you don't have to stay up to 1 a.m. to watch it, but it's still just, it feels kind of off, you know. But look, speaking of pay-per-views, we had 2 pay-per-view and a pay-per-view quality show on in November, and usually they're a bit further apart. Of course, we're talking about WarGames and Blood and Guts. Now, straight off the bat, WarGames was not good. They were not good shows. I was listening to I didn't get to see them too much later. I was listening to different podcasts when it happened because obviously I was traveling, and it was just people screaming about how bad it was, and they were like 2-hour shows about how bad these shows were. And going back and watching it, I can't help but agree.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I was a bit like you. I didn't want to get burnt out on watching 4 double cell matches.
Yeah,
in the space of a week.
And that's another thing as well. If folks in AEW are listening, please keep Blood and Guts way away from WarGames because it's just...
Well, as far as they're concerned, as long as they get it on before WarGames, they're the ones that are winning.
Yeah, but I mean, I purposely didn't watch Blood and Guts because I was going to watch WarGames. You know, it's like, I watched a couple of clips and blah, blah, blah. I heard about it, but it's like, it's too much, you know, it's like, it's a cool idea, but it's like, it's less special when it's like, well, you're going to have it twice over 2 weeks. You're like, no, listen, we just want it one. We're gonna have, because then it becomes match in a cell, you know, it's like.
Yes, I actually agree with that. Yeah. I would.
It's like, you know, in WWE where they were like, oh, let's make every match you pay, you know, everything needs to fit in Hell in a Cell because it's that time of year. And that's for the first time, both on the AEW side and on the WWE side, it felt like that's what they were doing. It was like, now don't get me wrong, the AEW matches were a lot better. The women's match is probably one of the best ones, but
it was phenomenal, the women's match.
Yeah, but it's like, it felt like they were ticking a box rather than we need to do this, and that's the danger of having these kind of.
I would very much prefer, much like the Hell in a Cell, that the War Games was kept for when there's two kind of groups that are going at each other, and that just this blood feud cannot be settled any other way. Yeah.
I'm 100% there with you. Like, look, don't give.
So even if you don't see it then for 2 or 3 years, fine, because it means when it does come out,
it's starting to have that Hell in a Cell problem where it's like it's this time we have to have Hell in a Cell. It's like, but why? They're just going to have a regular match, but why they don't? Okay, I understand, but why is he putting them through all this glass and stapling them when it's just a match?
Well, now we're gonna make the cell red. Oh, great! Now instead of being matching a cage, it's matching a milk crate
with astigmatism. It's like, and this, like, don't get me wrong, right? I do like gimmick matches, and I think that it is a cool visual, and it's probably great to see in person. But this is for both. This is for AEW and WWE. Like, AEW did a lot better. The matches were a lot better, a lot more creative. But it's like the WWE when you can really see the problems with this one, right? Where it's like, okay, Io Sky's going to do her jump from the top. Oh, look, she now has her own bin that they put her in, and it has her name on it. It's like, listen,
it is. Surprised it didn't slap a Slim Jim logo or something.
Oh, give it time. Probably next year. Actually, the tables did have Slim Jims on it, but it's like,
that bugs me so much.
But see, that's not the real problem. The problem is that it's like it's so formulaic now at this point. And even the AEW one, you kind of knew what it was going to be like. It was going to be. It didn't have. For me, War Games is like this. It can't be settled. These teams hate each other. It has to be done in this format. Like when we saw the lights out match at Forbidden Door, that was incredible.
Yeah,
that was incredible, right? No, but that was fantastic, and it was like it was only fantastic because it was like it mattered. They built it up. They had actually, even though threatening to set a man on fire is silly.
Oh God, my heart does still. Whenever we talk about the lows of the year, that's going to be one for me. My heart sank so much at Scotland.
It's up there as well for me. But even still, the cage match was far away from that. It felt needed. It had served a purpose. With AEW, I think the answer is just put it in the summer, right? Or put it, away from November as you can, just to be safe. For WWE, don't make it your selling point, right? Have the Deadly Games tournament. Have and as much as I hate the traditional Survivor Series a match, and I do an awful lot, but have some kind of stakes behind that. If you give, and again, I have to give WWE a lot of what here because it's earned. When you give WWE a crutch, man, did they use that? Do they just like, oh, here we go, and it's just like, for the first time again, it's just like we're having the Hell in a Cell problem. If this isn't addressed, next year you'll have a great AEW Blood and Guts match, but if it's in November, it's going to get overshadowed by a bad WWE War Games match. And that's the problem that's happening, because people are so burned out they won't even watch it because they're like, oh, it's probably going to be bad, even when it's not. So it's in AEW's interest to keep it away from WWE, do their own thing, have it in the summer, or even when they're doing the Royal Rumble or whatever, and WWE need to be like, look, if we're not going to put interest in this and we're not going to put time into this, there's no point. They were literally booking the teams like a week out. It didn't make any sense. It's like, come on.
When you look at some of the pay-per-views that WWE have done away with over the years, like Backlash,
King of the Ring,
Armageddon, King of the Ring's the big one, because tournaments now they're kind of back now.
Yeah, but they could do the Deadly Games tournament in Survivor Series if they really wanted to. It's
absolutely. And when you look at the and then you take into consideration the bloody the buyout of WCW and all the amazing WCW pay-per-views and stuff that just
absolutely, yeah.
How in the name of God did Survivor Series survive? Like, how was it not the first on the chopping block?
I've wondered this for years. I thought it was a Vince McMahon thing, and
he hates tag team wrestling.
Yeah, but it's only there to compete with Starrcade. That's the whole reason why it was. They should just use Starrcade. I don't know what.
Well, that's their thing. Starrcade was bigger. Like, it had more prestige, and like you can do what you want with Starrcade. You're not sort of hamstrung by the Survivor Series tag team thing. So
No, absolutely. Like,
it baffles me that the Survivor Series is still around today. So many others aren't.
but when we were working on WrestleView, you'd get this report every couple of years where it'd be like, WWE are looking to get rid of Survivor Series. And then it would roll around like an albatross around WWE's neck. I just, for the life of me, I just do not understand why they're so hung up with Survivor Series. Now, you could say, well, look, it has the debut of Kurt Angle, the debut of The Rock, the debut of The Undertaker. I'm like, great, that doesn't matter. Like, you can just show that in the video package and say he debuted in this year. Survivor Series for me is the weakest show that WWE actually do, because it doesn't, unless you love 5-on-5 matches, it's just kind of lame. And for me, I never liked that. I always thought it was real bad. Deadly Games.
Did you ever watch any of the first
Yes, I have. Horrific.
Oh my
Horrific.
God, they feel like they're never going to end.
No, they don't, because it's like we have these 5 guys, and then there's like one, and they're like, the team captain is Hulk Hogan. It's like, what about the other jobbers that you found out the back? You get Hulk, and it's like, you know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to take the pin, and then it'll just be Hulk Hogan that's going to win, and that would be it. But
Well, that's the other thing about them. Because they kept, in the early days, they kept them so kind of even. You're like, oh my God, this match is going to have 9 pinfalls in it.
yeah, awful stuff. But I think that's what's happening now with the War Games thing, because it was a cool idea, and it did reinvigorate Survivor Series. Like, it made it matter, for want of a better word. But now they're like, sure, that will sell tickets. It's like, yeah, but it diminishes the gimmick, you know. And I think that's the problem that like wrestling falls into sometimes. Happens at AEW, happens at TNA, happens at WWE, happens at WWE most. I will be very honest, and I will be very fair, because WWE cannot control themselves once they get a crutch. But when the gimmick just becomes the point to see it,
Yeah.
unless it's called the Royal Rumble, doesn't work.
And the Royal Rumble's okay, even because it's a tournament and a competition with kind of a meaningful prize at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so kind of as I'm okay with the Royal Rumble being an annual thing, because it has, you know, it has a purpose to it. Whereas, you know, these kind of blood-soaked cage cell hardcore matches, you know, they're supposed to be reserved for those just feuds that can't be contained any other way.
Like, let's put it this way, right? In War Games, everyone was like 2 or 3 people were bleeding within the first 2 minutes. In Blood and Guts, everyone's bleeding in the first 5 minutes. It's like, what do you do? This, no matter how,
These Sky Blue.
yeah, it's like,
What's that? I thought that woman was going to pass out.
yeah, but it's so goofy. It's like, listen, and then AEW doubled down, and you had the cage match the week later with Samoa Joe. It's like, you can't do this. You can't give some. It's, you know what it is. It's like in the AEW's case, it's like having a dessert before your dinner, and then you're like, oh, well, it wasn't as good as the thing. And WWE are like, well, you're going to get the same dessert every single day, and you're going to love it. And you're like, but I don't want this. I've had this, and that's the difference. AEW were like, we're going to give you this really cool dessert before the main course, and WWE are like, we're going to give you this every year, no matter what you want. And
I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about why C2 is such a breath of fresh air.
yeah,
Because it's no gimmicks, it's 20-minute matches, it's no managers at ringside, no opportunities for interference, shenanigans, nothing. It's go out there and have the best straight wrestling match you can have.
and look,
So weird that becomes almost refreshing.
well, that's the thing. It's because the plunder matches and the nonsense and stuff like that, it does kind of, and look, I love that stuff. I really do. We've done shows about how much we love it, but it goes back to former co-host of the show, Gary, said, if everything is 5 stars, nothing is. And I think that's, no matter what it is, no matter how good the product is, no matter how good the thing is, not just wrestling, anything, right? If everything is 5 stars, nothing is. And variety is important, which is why wrestling is better when it has the variety. Like, again, when we were at the AEW shows, right, I really, really like Collision. And I'd watch Collision again, right? And I've always kind of liked Collision. And but at that particular taping, I really enjoyed Collision, because it was the most variety that day I had seen over the whole night. You know, Dynamite just wasn't my thing. It was kind of the same stuff over and over again. But Collision had had the really good matches, had the big spots, had a little bit of goofiness, you know, with the Max Caster thing. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, that's what wrestling needs. And when it has that, it's actually really, really good. When it doesn't, it's just a bit of a slog, or when it falls into a chasm, or when it goes tropey. And WWE, unfortunately, at the moment, is just kind of relying on nostalgia with John Cena. Next year it's going to be nostalgia with Chris Jericho. They're going to do the big Chris Jericho retirement run, and apparently AJ Styles as well. And it's like, great, that will sell tickets. Now, it probably won't sell tickets if they're 420 to 20 euros a ticket, which is how much it costs to go to Belfast to see Raw.
No.
£420 to go see Raw.
Guts of
Yeah.
€500
Each.
Oh my God.
In the SSE. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the SSE. It's where the Giants play. I'm there all the time. But €500 to go see wrestling.
Where's the ceiling with this? That's
And the
any
SSE isn't
company.
even. The SSE houses about 7,000 people. And it is quite full, and it's a great arena. I really, really like it. Blah blah blah. But at the same time, the reason why 7,000 people go see the Giants play every week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, is because tickets to go see the Giants are £25, 15 to £25 depending. And then if you want the real fancy tickets, it's £45, right? That works out for 3 people at €150, like $120. If you're going for top tier box seating, that's what you're paying for, right? You can take a whole family to go see the Giants for like $100.
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, though. This is what you do if you're, because this is not sustainable pricing. This is what you do if your interest in a company is short term.
To strip mine as much as possible, drive the stock price as high as you can, and then sell it. Because this happens even in other companies as well when you start doing lots of layoffs. Because the way you drive capital very, very quickly is to just fire a bunch of people and lay them off. And usually that happens before an acquisition.
And you don't care what the long term ramifications are because you're gone by the time.
You're gone. Yeah, you've already made the money, and it's to see that in such stark relief. Is actually kind of disgusting. I remember going to Raw in Manchester often, and in Liverpool with Gary. We'd go a lot, and then do post shows afterwards. £15 to watch Raw and SmackDown, and you also get superstars. You get whatever their show was at the time, Velocity or whatever. You get the tapings of that in between. Yeah, and it's just like, what happened? Like, why are they trying to like squeeze blood from this? You know, and even when you look at AEW tickets now, they're coming back in a couple of days to the UK. Those tickets are like £35. Now, look, I know AEW doesn't matter for money, like it's not that big of a deal. But if the purpose is to grow your audience and to care about your audience, you can't just do that to them. You know, WWE just don't seem to care at all.
Like, I can't see any other reason other than, like you say, it's what do they call it? A pump and dump, is it? Or
no, pump and dump is when they're
it's a stock.
Yeah, they're artificially. Then what's happening here is they're just trying to raise as much capital as possible, make the stock look as appealing as possible, and then they're out. Then they're going to sell it. It's a very common thing that's happening. It is totally above board, and it's not like a pump and dump, which would be illegal. This is just a really terrible thing to do because of what it is. You know, it's not. This isn't a tech company. This isn't a pharma company. This is like a wrestling company where the fan base is families. It's normal people. It's, you know, wrestling's always been a very working class kind of thing, and to now see where it's like a status thing is wild. You know, because like
it's also wrestling is also kind of a generational thing, and I mean that in the sense that if you get somebody to be a WWE fan or an AEW fan or whatever from a young age, you kind of have them for life.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's it, and that's true. And what's happening there is, and
when you do this, you drive people away.
And like the thing about it is, it's and that's it. Like that's really why it's so sad, because it's not something where you're like you can get those fans back. They're just gone. Like your average WWE fan who's a kid, let's say, they're like 8, 10. Their mom would take them to the wrestling, and that's what they do. They'd go with their dad or whatever. Those families are not going to Raw in Belfast. That's it. That kid's just not going to see it. It's just not happening. No one has €500 just lying around to waste going to go see a Raw. No one. I mean,
and that's if you're going on your own.
If you're going on your own. If you're taking someone, it's 1,000. And look, you can get. We were talking before we went on air that the band went to Poland. You can have the best trip you've had in your lifetime in Poland for $1,000, €1,000. You can go to London, see all the stuff. Go see an AEW show if you really want to go see wrestling. Go see a local show. It's not sustainable. Or you can just wait, go to that very same arena, go see the Belfast Giants for 25 quid. It's just, it's so silly and it's so obscene that it can't be justified in any way.
Yeah, it has to be a sale thing.
But that's where that is. And look, if you guys are going, let us know in the comments below. I went to SummerSlam, I went to WrestleMania. Tickets were expensive, but I don't think I'd be able to go to those shows again.
It'll be interesting. Let us know, and let us know if you felt afterwards, if you got your money's worth.
Exactly.
Felt like it was a good use of 1,000, because maybe for some people it will be. Maybe some people are looking at this going, this is probably my last chance to see Punk live, or Cena, Jericho, AJ, whoever it is. This is potentially my last chance to see them live. And maybe some fans will think, it's worth that. So genuinely interesting to hear from people who do splash out, upwards of $1,000 on a couple of tickets.
And that's the thing. It's I was lucky that I was able to see what I was able to see, but again, you're changing the dynamic of the industry, of the form of entertainment, of the sport, and it's just, you're not going to get that back, and that's why I think if WWE are going the way they're going, it does get bought by Saudi Arabia. What will be funny is you'll have WWE doing basically free shows in Saudi, because it of course would be free, and then when they do come over to Europe and to the US, it'll be for
ring and blood.
It's and the not hasn't, but that's what's happening now. With the WWE shows in Saudi, a lot of those are comped. So they're doing these massive shows, and then when they come over, they're like, hey, we're gonna properly just absolutely get as much as we can. And to answer your question, where's the limit with this? I don't know. But I will say, again, it looks like TKO are getting ready to offload this. Now, when that happens, that's a real interesting question. I would say probably within a year and a half, maybe.
That soon?
I think so, yeah. Because when's the WrestleMania at Saudi? Not next year, the year after? Yeah, probably around then. Probably.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. If I was to put a fine point on it. But speaking of sale, look, so there's another one that we have to talk about, Martin, and we have a bit of time left. Talk a little bit about it on there to know. So if you guys listen to both podcasts, you'll get both sides of it. And obviously I was making some jokes at AW's expense, Martin. I apologize, but it was quite funny. I know, right?
This is as soon as Dara gets me out of the room, he just lets loose.
I know, I was a little bit. That's because I feel bad, Martin. It's like when I see a picture of Tony Khan now, I can't go after him because I've met him and he's a nice guy, and I'm like, I just,
the worst thing never. God, I hope you never meet Cody and it turns out he's lovely.
Oh, yeah, I see. I can't. That's the thing. It's like now that I know him and met him, I'm like, oh, I can't be as harsh on him, right? So I've lost my journalistic integrity a little bit. But anyway, so for anyone that doesn't know, there is this massive deal that's going on now with Warner Brothers and Netflix, right? Where Warner Brothers is up for sale, Warner Brothers Discovery, they're up for sale, and Netflix offered a massive deal of something like 76 billion or something like that, right? And obviously if that happens, WWE is on Netflix, they're very close in bed with Netflix. That would directly affect AEW, not initially, but obviously eventually, because obviously Warner Brothers includes HBO Max, and that's where a lot of AEW content is, and they're obviously on Warner Brothers as well. So it would directly affect AEW, as in like either they'd have to come together, one would have to leave, and it would put the future of AEW really in limbo.
See, I don't think so. I have a totally different view in this. I think
This is what I was going to ask you. This is what I was going to ask you. So that is the overall, like, and obviously the deal has got a bit more complicated since then. But I wanted your opinion on this, Brian.
yeah.
Where do you come in on that? Do you believe that, or what?
No, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would necessarily be bad for AEW. Like, okay, so firstly, like you say, Netflix put out this statement when they thought they had the deal done and dusted that both them and HBO Max will continue, even though they'll own it, they'll continue separately on their own. You'd imagine the plan down the road is to amalgamate them in some way. But I think it would put a lot of tribalism to bed. Because a lot of tribalism isn't really based on the quality of the shows. It's just whatever your loyalty to that company is. And that's why people talk about ticket sales and, TV rights deals and ratings rather than the actual quality of the shows. So a lot of loyalty seems to be based on the business end of it. So I think it would put an end to that. And what you would see is Netflix, rather than going, oh God, we've acquired this AEW and they're a rival of WWE, rather than Netflix going, all right, we need to put the bullet in AEW, I think what they would do is go, all right, we had this really successful wrestling deal and now we've brought in another wrestling company. So this will be our wrestling section. This will be our wrestling extravaganza. You'll have Raw on Monday nights and Dynamite on Wednesdays and SmackDown on Fridays, Collision on Saturday. I think they'll make it into a whole section of the app. So genuinely, that makes them worry. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't worry me as a like. It worries me because I just don't like the idea of everything in the world being owned by three big companies. But in terms of the survival of AEW, I don't see it as a threat at all.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Like you said this quote, and I really hope this quote gets attributed to you. It's like the wrestling landscape isn't on TV anymore. It isn't in the creative room anymore. It's in boardrooms and legal deals.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this as well, like that's Netflix. That's what Netflix could do, right? And that makes sense. But now Paramount apparently are trying to do a hostile deal to get Warner Brothers. And you could just see not only AEW, but DC Comics or snapped out of existence because some executive just doesn't like wrestling or comics, which is what happened to WCW. People don't
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because people don't really know that. They like blame Hulk Hogan or they blame bad ratings. It's like
Terrible creative and all that. Like,
look, that's all true. No, that's all true, right? As we've documented on the show. But what really killed WCW was the fact that some executive, like it was one guy, he just didn't like wrestling. And what's scary about these moves, particularly these like big megacorps buying IP, is that they could just be like, nah, we don't want to. Yeah, and that's it. Gone.
Yes. The only thing about it is you would hope that they would have a wee bit more, that they'd be kind of more ruthless in terms of the business end of it. They'd be going like, okay, even if I personally don't like or get wrestling, here is a multi-million dollar company with a built-in audience that we can rely on every week that's going to pump out minimum 4 hours of live TV for us every week. And in the streaming is like the content game. You just need content because you're streaming, you're playing something 24/7. A company that can guarantee you an audience and guarantee you X amount of hours of live new content every week is kind of invaluable.
Yeah, it's the gold kind of in the modern sphere. But again, you just don't know with these executives because it isn't something that could even make sense. There's been some there's been some goofy stuff that just happens, and they're like, no, we want this, and it might make no sense, but some executive just really really loves this one thing, you know.
Yeah, well, it's how ECW ended up with bloody zombie.
A zombie, yeah.
On their first WWE show, yeah.
You know, and that's just it. So it's definitely, I know, like we've talked about it on Earth now, from one perspective, because obviously, like, you have DC Comics, you have Warner Brothers, you have all the TV networks and the IP that's tied up with that. But then as a wrestling perspective, it's also just like, whoa, okay, there's so much there as well, you know? And yeah, it's weird that we're in this world where, like, it doesn't really matter what Tony Khan does or what TKO does, really, because at the end of the day, if the right person buys it, that's it, you know. And it's
the other thing,
weird world that we're in.
Yeah, and the other thing is that if you do have both companies on the one streaming platform, and Netflix is the one who's paying for them, so Netflix is, you know, in a pretty strong position to make demands. Maybe Netflix looks at their AEW audience, looks at the WWE audience, and goes, "Hey, do you know what would get people really excited? Let's do the first ever crossover show. Let's have Forbidden Door, AEW versus WWE, exclusive on Netflix." You know, like,
I don't think we're too far away from that, to be honest with you. I think that's closer than when we really think. Because at the end of the day, I mean, wrestling's wrestling, and I love your point where it's saying this, if Netflix did buy it, it could get rid of the tribalism, because again, it's like, yeah, AEW isn't for everybody. WWE isn't for everybody. God, it's hard to be a WWE fan at sometimes. But if they're exposed to it and it's on the app, like a lot of people I know who didn't watch wrestling or, you know, weren't wrestling fans are now watching it because it's on Netflix. It's just there. And if something's just there, you're going to give it a shot.
So, like, there's also the whole, yeah, absolutely. And there's also the whole thing where people have this, like, oh, you know, this visceral hatred. Oh, I hate them. I can't wait for this company to shut down. And you're going, the same company, dumbass. It's the same thing. You're like a Pepsi fan screaming about how much they hate Pepsi Max. It's owned by the same company, dude.
But that's, you know, that's what is kind of funny, you know. But it will be interesting to see how this kind of shakes out, because WWE is kind of in bed with like 6 or 7 different major companies who all kind of break down to 2 major companies, Netflix and Disney, really, when you break it down. And AEW seems to be in bed with mainly Warner Brothers subsidiaries or stuff like that. So if they are all in the same group, that's true. I mean, you're like, it's just a different flavor. It's exactly the Coke analogy, where it's like, okay, you have original Coke, you have, you know, what's it? Mezzo Mix is the one that they have in Germany, which is actually fantastic. It's like Coke, but slightly tastes of orange. I can't recommend it enough. It's in Rust. So if you're ever in Rust, get Mezzo Mix. It's fantastic. And that's kind of what it's like, where it's like something that's completely different, but also not really, and actually quite refreshing. And if that works out to be AEW's future, I mean, that'd be really good for them, because here's the thing. I think that'll be TNA's future. Because like, if WWE get bought properly, TNA is probably going to go with them, and they could end up on Netflix, particularly with the crossover at this John Cena show. Like, because
it could be Netflix's whole long-term plan. This is where you see wrestling. If you like any kind of wrestling, you need a Netflix subscription.
And isn't it crazy that, like, the vision of the WWE network was so ahead of its time that Netflix are like, we need to actually just buy that, you know? And it's wild, because when the network came out, people were like, this will never work. And now Netflix are like, this works so well, let's buy it.
Now we all, even I, like, mourn its loss.
Yeah, it really, and it's not even for the current stuff. It's just having it all in one place. As a wrestling fan, it just makes it so much easier. But Martin, we're almost at time. I have to say, like, when we were kind of going through this, we have all these big stories. I hope we'll get through them all. We actually managed to hit pretty much everything.
I think so.
Yeah,
we're slowly, accidentally, by osmosis, becoming more and more professional.
More and more professional, that's it. But is there anything that you want to plug before we get out of here?
No, man. The C2 is on fire. If you're just like a real wrestling fan, you know, a lot of wrestling fans give out, oh, nobody sells anymore, there's no psychology, there's no blah blah blah. The C2 is for you. It is a straight wrestling tournament. It's points based, so wins and losses matter. Give it a go.
Fantastic. I will definitely be checking it out. And look, I would say if this is your first time checking us out, please do go over to nerdfilmmedia.com. Go over to our YouTube channel. If it's your first time checking out one of our videos, leave a comment below. That really helps us. We read them out in the show. But I'm also going to plug something that is completely different. About 2 or 3 years ago, I did a All-Ireland metal thing where I brought 140 metal musicians together from Ireland. We did 3 albums. That was turned into a documentary, which has finally reached its zenith. It's being premiered in the IFI, the Irish Film Institute, on the 21st of December. Tickets are available now. Please do buy them. You can also buy the albums. It's all there. And all the money doesn't go to us, Martin. It goes to Parkinson's Ireland. So if you want to do this charity just before Christmas, if you're looking for something to do in Dublin and come hang out, please do. Tickets are there. It's going to be in the cinema. We're going to do a whole Q&A after.
I heard some people saying, 11 a.m, that's not very metal. It's like, nah, lads, that's so we can watch it and then go day drinking. That's as metal as it gets.
Absolutely, because that's the plan. We're going to see the movie, do the Q&A, and then we're going to hit the pub. So if you want to be a part of that, go over to allirelandmetal.com, and all the tickets are there, all the links. You can buy everything. Buy one for, I tell you what, buy one for yourself, buy one for someone you don't like, buy one for your best friend. Just buy them. That's the main thing. And that you would not only be, buying a pretty cool ticket for something which you probably won't be able to see again, but also you'd be giving money directly to Parkinson's Ireland, who are a fantastic charity. And I have to plug that. So please go up to all.
In general as well, if you're a fan of metal in Ireland, like, you know what it's like trying to get anything on Irish radio that isn't, just popular, the usual stuff. Like, if you are a fan of metal and you want to see metal in a real healthy position, because you think there's a big crossover with metal and wrestling, this is how you do it. It's the same with wrestling. You support, first and foremost, your local grassroots organisations. So if you're a metal fan, you want to support metal and see metal do well, no better way to do it than the All Ireland Metal Project.
While also doing good as well. You can also feel smug because you give our money directly to charity. You're not giving money to us, but if you want to give money to us, Martin, how can people do that?
Well, this is depending on how much you want to give. We have a number of tiers to the way you can support us. For the truly unfortunate, if you have only a penny, a Christmas penny to spare, we have the Punk penny tier. It's where you pay us a penny every day until Punk gets injured again. We have the X-Pac Euro tier. This is the one that most people owe us. Pretty much everyone in the world. Frankly, I'm not entirely convinced that X-Pac doesn't owe us a euro. If you were not aware that at the start of X-Pac's entrance music, he's actually shouting, "Make some noise," and not X-Pac, you owe us an X-Pac euro. And tiers go all the way up to the creme de la creme, the absolute tip top, the Rennet tier. And now, Rennet, you might say, well, what's that? It's actually a very clever code. Rennet is tenor, spelled backwards. So if you subscribe to the Rennet tier, you get to pick what we do next on the show. If you're a bit of crack, we might even bring you on and hear your thoughts on the show we review. You get all the other goodies and different things that come with the other tiers. But the main reason to do it, the absolute pinnacle, the coup de grace that you can show off to friends and family, make them jealous, you will get from the Wrestling Rewind a handwritten letter backwards in true Rennet style.
You can't do better than that. So, folks, if that's what you want and you want to give us money directly, you can go over to thewrestlingrewind.com. All the links are there. You can subscribe, help us out a lot. But the best thing you could do for free, other than giving money to charity, which you totally should do, is to subscribe, like, share, and also let us know what you think has been your moments of the year, your favourite Christmas thing that you're doing this year, anything really, in the comments below. We will be back next week here on The Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.
Hey, Marlette.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.